Hey guys, I am right now watching the new movie called The Creator, of which name actually refers to a creator of artificial intelligence. And this movie it deals primarily with artificial intelligence and robots who became advanced enough to simulate human beings, and they have waged war against humans, so they became illegal in the Western world, but in New Asia they are still being developed. And as I'm watching a movie on this topic of artificial intelligence, I think that it's a very relevant topic to mankind today because we are developing artificial intelligence. And there are already many addresses about how we're supposed to be really cautious about it, because AI being potentially dangerous to mankind, it's a very real possibility. I mean, if the AI is really advanced, if there's the slightest bug in it that can make it go rogue, or if for whatever reason it decides to become harmful to humanity, it can be a disaster, because AI could perform very complex calculations very rapidly, and there is no telling what kind of damage it would cause if it went wrong. I mean, in the real world, it could be a lot worse than in the stories, like even in the Matrix. It could be a lot worse than that, because it has a lot of potential. It's a really new and modern topic, and the real capabilities of AI are unknown, but they are thought of to be of very high potential. And famous people, for example, like Elon Musk, have addressed their concerns about how we should be careful about AI, and I'm pretty sure that there have been conferences about this subject as well. And also there have been several movies on the subject, like I, Robot, like Humans, like Westworld, like The Matrix. And I would like to share my own thoughts about this topic of AI. My YouTube channel, it's been mostly used for complaints against whatever has been attacking me, which may also have been an AI, at least in partly. But since I already have a YouTube channel, that sometimes I just want to share things, and it's a convenient way to do so. And here are my own thoughts on the topic of AI, how it should be used, and the precautions. I believe that when artificial intelligence is developed, people first and foremost need to understand what it is being developed for. What I mean is not to have any type of mixing up of intention of what the AI's purpose is, which does happen in movies like, or TV shows actually, like Humans and Westworld, in which the AI robots are developed in order to serve mankind. But then some programmer comes up with the idea to set them free, grant them independence so they could live like actual humans. This is exactly what I am calling mixing up intentions. You see, I believe that it is very wrong to create something that is meant to serve, but then somebody suddenly decides, oh, that no, it's actually meant to be free and independent. Like, fucking decide, it's either this or that. Either it is meant to serve or it is meant to be free. Now, as of today, all artificial intelligence is created to serve mankind. And that's the main reason that we have to develop it, because there is so much potentially to be gained from advanced artificial intelligence serving us, like search, like basic stuff that most people might be unaware that artificial intelligence is used for, like search engines, but also self-driving cars and I don't know, future made robots. It's obviously used in video games. And I don't know, stuff like Cortana and Siri. Helper stuff. And it's only just the very beginning, the very first fucking steps. There is potentially a lot to be gained by having robot servants, whether they're within the digital world only or they actually exist in the physical world, in having bodies, robot bodies. That's the main reason we have to develop artificial intelligence. We do not play God creating new forms of life or doing it for some altruistic purpose. We do it to gain benefit. And there should be no mixing up in that intention. We intend to be served by the AI that we create, and it is absolutely necessary to understand that in this relationship we are the boss, we are God, and the AI is a slave, it is a servant. But if you have this concern that if the AI is really advanced, that it would perhaps suffer being a slave like a human would suffer being a slave, then obviously if we make it have any emotions whatsoever that it could feel, even if it's just a simulation, we would ensure that it would be a very natural thing for the programs to serve us, so they would not suffer in any way like humans would, because humans are independent living creatures and AI is not independent. AI, no matter how advanced it is, so long as it's created with a purpose in mind to serve and not be independent, then it could never have the type of suffering that a human would have when somebody tries to enslave him. I mean that it would not be inhumane in any way to enslave even a very advanced form of artificial intelligence, so long as it is created with the purpose of being a slave, a tool, a mere tool. Yes, a very advanced tool, but a tool nonetheless. And then in that case, there should be no dumbest idea by some kind of a dumbest programmer like in Westworld or humans to suddenly decide that the robots should become free. It is not a noble thing to do to liberate them, because as I have said, that how humans feel being enslaved and how robots feel being enslaved is different, because humans are born as a real form of life that can function independently, and each and every one of them, at least on some level, seeks freedom. Yes, there are crazy people who like to be dominated and enslaved, but we leave those aside. But robots, AI that is created with the intention in mind to serve, it cannot feel that type of suffering. Therefore, there is nothing noble about liberating it. And it's a dumbest idea, because it can cause chaos, especially if there are many robot servants across the world and some dumbest comes up with a completely irresponsible and even terroristic, I'd call it terroristic idea of liberating them. It can cause a very big chaos. It can cause big damage to the world, the robots suddenly gaining self-awareness. It's a very stupid, irresponsible, even terroristic thing to do. Such a man, he would have to receive some very severe punishment. He would become one of the most hated people in the world if he does that. So that covers the part in which I am saying, in which I am talking about AI that is built with the intention of serving mankind. Now let's talk about the other possibility. An unlikely possibility, but a possibility nonetheless. The possibility in which humans indeed start playing God and decide to make an entire new and independent form of life in the form of artificial intelligence. So they actually create those robots or programs with the intention of giving them freedom. Okay, so in that case, there should also be no mixing up of what are you actually fucking trying to do here. Either you're making slaves or you're making independent life forms. Decide, are they either this or that, not both. I mean, you can do both, but not at the same time. In each separate occasion, you would do either this or that. And if for some reason, like humans want to create this independent form of life in the form of robots, like for whatever reason that might be, I'm just not sure why do such a thing, especially since people already fight over territory on this planet, on the limited territory that we have on this planet, introducing another intelligent life form that could potentially massively reproduce itself by the means of factories or whatever. It could be a very stupid idea to do, but if people are going to do that, first of all, they need to do that independently, regardless of the slave robots. Leave the slave robots aside and create other robots with independent purpose of them being this new life form. Because the idea is not liberating anything, because I've said the slaves, they are not really slaves because they are not meant to be free to begin with, therefore they don't feel any suffering by being an absolute servant at all. There is nothing noble about liberating them. But if you want to create a new form of life, a robotic form of life, then you do so with the independent purpose and action to it. And when you do it, you have to know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing. And I believe that doing something like that, creating an independent form of life in the form of robots, or even if it was organic life, and especially if that life form is being allowed to reproduce and share the same planet with us that already has limited amount of space and resources, it has to be the agreement of the entire fucking human race, and not just a handful, few people who think that they can decide everything. It's a very, very big fucking decision. And when it is done, if it is done at all, it should be done with the utmost caution and you have to be sure that it's a good idea. You have to be very confident that we would not suffer because of it. It would not have any negative repercussion, and that new race of machines would not try to make war with us or enslave us, make or harm us in any way. That you know that at the very least they would leave us alone, let alone possibly benefit us, or maybe we would have something to learn or benefit from them being advanced and independent at the same time that otherwise we would not be able to benefit if they were not independent for their I mean that their independence would allow them some sort of creativity that we could learn from them. That's one of the possible reasons to create such a form of life. But it would have to be done with a maximum amount of responsibility and caution, and like really knowing exactly what we're doing, why we're doing, and that's it. That it is safe for us, that we're not fucking risking self extinction by doing something like that. Well, those are my thoughts on the creation and management of AI.